do you work in public relations or wider corporate affairs? Do you often wonder why our practice is not trusted or has little influence? You've come to the right place, and allow me to tell you why all these are happening and what you can do about it. If we look at communication and public relations through the lens of a strategic corporate function, we ought to recognize that much of what we do is attached to an agenda. In some cases, that agenda is personal. We want to progress up the career ladder. We want to be seen to add value. We want to be recognized for our merits and so on. In other cases, that agenda is purely organizational. We know that if we propose a course of action, there will be consequences. The business of influence, moving away from the marketing and salesy aspect of it, is immensely powerful, and it is honed over years and years of making connections, building trust in what we do or in what we say, and in always delivering on the promises we made. This is, in a nutshell, what real influence is all about. One of the most complex roles of any communicator who finds himself or herself in the leadership structure of any organization is to speak truth to power. This truth includes ensuring a clear understanding by the leadership of that organization that when things go wrong, and they often do, looking in the mirror is the best solution to avoid a crisis. To ask the right questions, you need to remove bias of any kind. To build a real rapport with all your colleagues, you need to understand their motivations, their fears, strengths, and weaknesses. Forget about artificial intelligence for a second and think about emotional intelligence, known as EQ. The latter is fundamental in your ability to position yourself, command respect, and become credible and trustworthy. Although the fourth industrial revolution is here, I am certain that you are aware that emotional intelligence trumps the intelligence quotient, the IQ, when it comes to staff morale and decision making in organizations. But there is more to EQ than just helping staff morale and business performance. It's about the influence this emotional intelligence can have on those who are impacted by your services as an organization, for instance, the communities we work with, by those who use your services as an organization, i.e., the customers, by those who help you provide your services, which can be suppliers or contractors of any kind, and by those who ensure that you provide the right services, i.e., regulators, and by those who become aware of your services and scrutinize them, for instance, media. To have any influence in any organization, we must first understand what that organization does and why it does it, other than making a profit, of course. Then we need to know how it does its business and what it is that we, the communicators, the PR people, the corporate affairs people, can do to make that business better, regardless of what better may refer to. While public relations will always retain its core function of building relationships and mutual understanding, reputations and goodwill, etc., its imperative is that of building trust now. We can trust someone we do not have a relationship with because trust is not rooted in emotions and feelings, but in standing by what you believe in and proving that you can deliver on a promise or on a commitment that you made. Every organization, big or small, national or multinational, listed or not, has a corporate mission accompanied by corporate values, corporate objectives, etc. Some of these, as we all know too well, are larger than life and unattainable in practice. Others are sensible and rather easy to work towards. However, PR seems to be very quickly leaning towards the wrong side of the learning spectrum. We are less and less talking about the competitive edge or advantage or angle we can provide our clients or our employers with, about the input we can have on their business development strategies and market positioning, about the unique selling points we have identified which could help them stand out from their competitors, about the necessity of understanding their customers, service users, suppliers, regulators. Instead, we seem to be talking about social reach and sentiment, viral posts about Instagram, about TikTok, and whatnot. Really? How about we spoke about these as mere channels of reaction and interaction that support the client or the employer reaching their business objectives of ABC? If we continue to focus on tactics and outputs as opposed to strategy and outcomes, PR, not only will it find it harder and harder to create a well-deserved seat for itself at the boardroom table, it will also find it harder to argue the case of its practitioners' understanding, knowledge of, and direct input into any business growth and business strategy. After all, when we talk about publicly listed companies and multinationals, why would any C-suite executive be ready to listen to our advice when all we seem to be knowledgeable of or interested in is digital skills? We often argue that perception is reality. I'm afraid that largely in the PR industry's case, it is starting to look like it. If you say you work in public relations, you are likely to get the look, either that you do not have a real job, I was told that once, or that you specialize in lying, I heard that recently, or even worse, how can we trust you? Trust today has multiple meanings. It is the trust in politicians, in your family, in your friends, and for many of us, trust in whatever media and public information platforms we use. In my view, the biggest hurdle we must overcome as public relations practitioners is that of gaining back trust. Unlike as early as 30 years ago, when trusting a PR person was related most of the times with our ability to cover one's mess, spin the life out of every single story, master the craft of propaganda and manipulation, today is about telling the truth. For those of us who still work in a bubble of dark arts, black hat misinformation, and military style disinformation, truth is hard and trust has nothing to do with it. Social purpose and corporate social responsibility are no longer in the form of mere website or brochure statements. To be believed, these need to be trusted. Similarly, in our industry's case, the public's trust in what we say is in its infancy. We haven't earned it yet. There is an even more complex issue here, past the truth, honesty, and integrity with which we, members of whatever industry body where that is the case, need to exercise our duties. That is our own credibility. Over the past few years, the narrative on various industry blogs and Twitter chats and similar is shouting for a seat at the table and board recognition. While it is, of course, necessary to constantly aspire to attain both, that conversation needs to be held with those who have the power to give us the seat at the table or to appoint us for that much coveted board position. In a business setting, trust in our competencies and skills, in our ability to see a business concept through its entire journey, together with its various ramifications and impact on the business, be it financial or reputational, has a lot to do with the truth. Pardon me. If we are to have the skills we need to be trusted that we tell the truth, that we do not beautify it, that we do not spin it, inflate it, or deflate any potential consequences. And here comes one of the greatest paradoxes of the business world today. Your competency and ability to get the job done does not necessarily help you climb the career ladder or get a seat at the table. Your ability to play the game does. And this ability, funnily enough, is also deeply rooted in trust. In other words, can you see the full picture and the agendas at play? Do you understand, for instance, that if John gets appointed as vice president, Jane may not get the funding or the board approval for her initiative to proceed? Being an observer in our line of work, knowing when to sit back and watch or wait, knowing when to grab an opportunity and run with it, knowing when to demonstrate that you can be trusted in all respects I mentioned above, and being confident that you can achieve what you committed to do will give you much more than trust. All these will lend you credibility. Every human act of speaking, gesticulating, writing, and listening is covered by one vast area of research called communication. From the way we look at someone, all the way to how we use our bodies, either consciously or unconsciously, to express something without words. The communication function, the corporate affairs function, whatever way you want to call it function in every organization, has a significant role to play, not just in listening and understanding what the multitude of voices inside and outside the organization are saying, but also in ensuring its role and its reach are clearly perceived by those in leadership positions. So those of us who work in communications or communication or public relations must bring solid arguments to our leadership, not hearsay. And we should let science be our best friend. In other words, research and analysis should underpin everything we do. And common sense, respect, consideration, and caution should underpin everything we say. My name is Alaminti, and I would like to thank you for being here today. Power and influence is a journey, and I would love to have you with me on it. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to this channel, and also please do leave your thoughts, views, and comments below. I would love to read them. And with this, the only thing I have to say is good luck. You can do it. Thank you.